As the film begins, we find ourselves in a romantic plot in which we see a couple, Patrick and Adeline. Unbeknownst to them, someone is lurking in the background. Patrick surprises his girlfriend by proposing with a ring tucked in a strawberry, which Adeline reacts to with excitement and saying yes. Suddenly, however, Patrick receives a call from the photographer, who says that he missed the moment due to sun flares. He asks Patrick if he can propose to Adeline again, and Patrick, irritated, yells at him to get it right this time. Then, after the call, Patrick proposes to Adeline again, which she says yes to. He calls to check if the photographer got the pictures, and Adeline takes the phone to talk. But shockingly, someone shoots an arrow into Patrick's forehead, killing him instantly. Adeline screams horror and runs away while being chased by the killer. After a long chase, she escapes and hides in the bushes. The killer finds her through her boyfriend's cell phone. But then, at that moment, the killer stabs the arrow in Adeline's ankle. Injured, Adeline limps away from there, eventually making it to a winery. Before long, she runs into a security guard and begs for his help. But before the guard can take any action, the killer shows up and throws a knife with a heart sticker at him, killing him. A terrified Adeline keeps running, and later finds a giant metal tank to hide in. After some silence, she becomes cautious and tries to look out of it. But the killer gets her by the neck, so she closes the tank door, forcing him to let go. Unfortunately for her, the psycho killer hits the compressor on the tank and literally squeezes Adeline to death and explodes her head. We finally get to see the killer and the killer's wearing a mask that has little hard eyes. In the next scene, we see some news stations all reporting on a serial killer on the loose that they're calling the Hard Eyes Killer. Apparently, the Hard Eyes Killer preys on loving couples, but doesn't hesitate to kill anyone who gets in the way. Now everyone's being warned to take extra care and stay at home, especially since today is Valentine's Day. We then see a girl named Ally in a coffee shop with her best friend Monica. Ally is feeling a lot of stress since her boss has just announced an emergency meeting where she is to show her ad campaign. However, while getting coffee, she unexpectedly meets a cute guy, and they realize out of all the coffees, they ordered the same thing and blush over the coincidence. They start talking, right when Ally accidentally drops the sugar on the floor and consequently hits the guy and causes him to have a bloody nose. This makes her very embarrassed, and she quickly runs away from the situation. Then we cut to the meeting, where Ally's boss plays the Valentine's Day campaign that she just released. The ad is very violent and getting hate and backlash online, and is viewed inappropriate, especially due to the Hard Eyes Killer being on a murder spree. This upsets the boss, and to make things right, she is bringing in the new hire, Jay Simmons. To Ally's surprise, he is the same guy she met at the coffee shop. Jay has done fairly well in his career and assures everyone that they will get together and remedy the situation. Then we cut to the winery, where two detectives, Zeke and Janine, come to the scene to investigate the murders of Patrick and Adeline. They investigate the crime scene, where they find a wedding band with the initials JS, which does not belong to either victim. The detectives find the photographer's last shot, as well, where our mass killer is attacked. Later, Ally is in her office bathroom, reading all negative comments on her Instagram post about her latest ad. At that moment, Jay arrives outside of the stall and says that he needs to speak with her. Ally reluctantly comes out, and Jay mentions that he booked a dinner tonight to discuss the ad campaign. She wants to refuse as it's Valentine's Day, but she suggested to do it tomorrow. Jay said he has a flight in the morning to go to his best friend's wedding, so it has to be done tonight. Later that evening, Ally preps beautifully and arrives at the restaurant first. Jay arrives soon after, looking very handsome, and this impressed Ally greatly. The two began chatting. After a few minutes, Jay abruptly asks whether Ally's heart was recently broken based on her campaigns. The question offended Ally, and she kindly told him to mind his own business. When that didn't work, she started shouting at him and asked why he is still single if he's so romantic. This upset Jay so much that he stood up and wanted to swiftly end the dinner and then walked out of the restaurant. Now Ally feels horrible, so she gets up and chases him outside and apologizes. She said she just had a terrible day, and then suddenly starts kissing Jay. In the moment, another man interrupts them, and is Ally's ex, who is also there with his new girlfriend for Valentine's dinner. Ally then suddenly introduces Jay as her new boyfriend, and Jay plays along. Her ex is shocked. He tells her that her ex-boyfriend and his ex-girlfriend were supposed to go on a double date with her and Jay, but obviously, it never happened because they were killed at the winery. Before long, Ally and Jay hopped in the same taxi, are driving away, and completely unaware they are being watched by someone wearing a hard eyes mask. Finally, the cab arrives at her address. She apologizes to Jay for tonight before stepping out. However, when Ally gets to her building, she checks her bag and realizes she doesn't have her keys. Jay sees all of this happening, so he tells the driver to keep the meter running and chases after Ally. He then helps Ally when he breaks into her window, but also hurts himself while doing so. After breaking into Ally's apartment, she gets the first aid kit and pictures it very carefully as she bandages his wounds. In the middle of all this, she notices her personal item laying on the bed and tries to sneakily tuck it away in the closet. But all of a sudden, the heart eyes immediately attacks and gets into it with Jay. The killer has Jay cornered against the wall, just when Ally hits him upside the head with the lamp. When the killer gets dizzy, the two make a run for the outside door and with a belt, slam the door shut. The two run toward the cab they had earlier, but again, Heart Eyes shoots the cab driver in the head. Ally hears the killing and attempts to talk the killer out of shooting them, telling him that he is wrong about them being a couple. In the meantime, Jay wants to call 911, but Heart Eyes shoots the cell phone out of Jay's hand. The two run into an abandoned botanical garden, and Heart Eyes catches up with Ally and attacks her. When Jay sees this is happening, he intervenes, but Heart Eyes gets to Jay first, knocking him out. Ally sees this as an opportunity to run. Heart Eyes is done with Jay and begins pursuing Ally. Later on, Ally arrives at an amusement park and hides herself in a carousel, when suddenly, the killer starts the carousel, and he turns it faster and causes Ally to fall. She manages to get to her feet, but the killer stands in front with a machete and tries to kill her. But Ally kicks the killer and knocks him off the carousel. She gets off herself and goes to leave, and just when he is about to kill her, a bunch of police cars show up and Heart Eyes mysteriously disappears. After that, Ally is panicking and tells the officer what happened and begins to worry about Jay. But the officer gets a call over the radio, and it says the murderer has been found. Then, a while later, Detective Zeke is with Janine, and he tells Ally to tell them what happened. But Ally sees Jay on the ground, and he was arrested. She is now in complete shock. She tells the police that Jay is not Heart Eyes, but Zeke insists that he still is a suspect, because the police found Jay wearing a mask, and he had a crossbow in his possession. To make matters worse, Janine tells Jay that the police believe he did not act alone, making even Ally, Jay's mate, a suspect for planning. Zeke shows Jay the wedding ring they took from the vineyard. It has the initials JS, which coincidentally match with Jay Simmons instead of Jay putting up the defense of any other. He has denied completely having any part of it, so Zeke continues to ramp up, getting more aggressive, antagonizing Jay. Eventually, Janine tells Zeke to leave so they can continue with the interrogation. Eventually, she flirts with Jay and starts asking him about Ally, because he seems like he cares for her. In the meantime, Ally is at the station and tells an officer that they caught the wrong person. She continues to ask about the status update, requiring the officer to go to the interrogation room because he is getting annoyed. Ally is then approached by David, an IT guy for the station for the repair a computer. David acknowledges she looks familiar and asks if they matched on Bumble. Ally says they did not match. David is clearly interested in her and asks her out on a date. Ally clearly declines him. You can see David is mildly offended. After that, Janine shows outside station with another officer. They arrive and meet up with Ally. Then Janine starts finishing her interrogation with Ally, asking if she is interested in Jay, since he is hot and successful in the music industry. Anyway, all of a sudden, the lights go out in the station. Everything is dark and eerie. Janine decides to check it out, while the other officer goes to the supply room for a flashlight. But then she is stabbed in the back by Heart Eyes with a flagpole as Ally stares in terror. After this, Ally runs toward the hall area and informs Janine about Heart Eyes. She just leaves Janine out to find him and runs away. Across from there, Zeke also hears the noise outside, so he walks out. He yells out for Janine, but there is no response. At last, Heart Eyes comes from behind and immediately stabs him in the chest with his machete, killing him. Ally, however, finally makes it outside the interrogation room, only to see Jay in the room. He scrouches to find Zeke, and that she can get the handcuff keys and let him out. To his horror, when Ally leaves, Hard Eyes comes in the interrogation room with a machete. He swings at Jay many times with a machete, but Jay evasively dodges them all. Then, Ally comes back with a gun and fires several shots at Hard Eyes, causing him to flee. She sprints over to Jay and finally manages to get him out of the restraints. They then exit the police station for the final time. But where do you go after a night in jail? So, they hit up a drive-in where a number of couples are viewing the late movie. Some people quickly notice Hard Eyes there, and they think it is simply someone's costume. He is then seen killing some random guy in the middle of the drive-in that wasn't in his path or anything. Once they see him, Ally and Jay hide in a car where a couple is getting it on in the backseat. The couple seems like they are having a lot of fun and is entirely unaware of anything going on around them. Ally and Jay yell at them to get out of the car and run, but they seem too stoned to realize what was going on. And then all of a sudden, Hard Eyes bursts open the back door and shoves a large cross in the guy's mouth. He then takes the girl on the back seat and impales her on the same crossbar, so he had eliminated her as well. This, of course, resulted in utter chaos at the drive-in. Ally and Jay manage to book it out of there, and the killer is chasing them down, killing whomever is in his path. Jay urges Ally they should run, but poor Ally has all of the guilt thinking they were the ones who brought Hard Eyes to there, and this is all their fault. She therefore proposes that they should finish him off before that killer has the chance to commit any more murders. Now they have the killer's attention and bring it to them, making the killer pursue them. The two then steal some weapons from the dead bodies of people killed by Hard Eyes and prepare to confront him. Within a few moments, the killer tries to machete Jay, but Jay puts up a fight. I must mention that Hard Eyes has an upper hand and is about to finish Jay off when Ally comes to the rescue and slams a propane tank over Hard Eyes' head. Hard Eyes is hurt, but is still alive, so Jay finally ends Hard Eyes' life by running him through with his own machete, which causes him to collapse on the ground. Finally, after that, the two tear off the killer mask, but neither one of them recognizes the killer. Soon after, the authorities arrive to pick up the body, and the officer tells them they're going to be very famous for killing Hard Eyes. Shortly after, Jay asks Ally to go up to his hotel room before he takes a flight so they can finish their dinner date. But she is still traumatized by the whole sequence of events that happened tonight and refuses. At the same time, they are approached by Janine, who seems interested in Jay. She offers to drive him home, and he takes her up on it. Sometime later, Ally is in her apartment, and she remembers the positive moments she had with Jay. Next, she gets a call from Monica, and she is worried about her. Ally tells her what happened, and tells her that she ruined her chances of being with Jay. Monica tells Ally that she shouldn't let such a good guy go, and that she should go after him. This finally convinces Ally to go after him, so she jumps in her car and heads to the airport. She tries to find Jay everywhere, but he is a specter. Eventually, Ally receives a call from a number she doesn't know, and the voice on the other end tells her that Jay is at his location and gives her the address to a chapel. He demands Ally be there and warns her if she even dares to call the cops, Jay will die. Jay is also screaming in the background, which scares Ally. Shortly thereafter, Ally gets to the chapel, where she sees Jay gagged, with his hands and feet tied. Hard Eyes turns out to still be breathing, and when he takes off his mask, Ally is stunned to see David, the IT guy she had met earlier. She asks who the killer they murdered at the drive-in was, and David tells her they were called Eli. Ally then asks if they were a couple, and David replies they are a throuple, not a couple. In a twist that surprises nobody, Janine then shows up and reveals she is also one of the Hard Eyes and the wife of David. It appears they have a kink for murdering couples in love. They say they were the real Hard Eyes, and Eli was just a fanboy with a stalker crush on him. They then explain the Hard Eyes who went into Ally's house was Janine, and the one who killed the driver was David. Janine explains the wedding ring they found is in fact hers, and the initials JS are for Janine Shaw. After hearing all of this, Ally says she's shocked and asks them why are they coming after them. They aren't even a couple. Janine said that they originally were going to kill another couple, but they changed their minds after they saw Ally and Jay's above-the-knee kiss. She then tells Ally to grab a gun off a table next to them to show that she doesn't love Jay. To continue, Janine reveals that the gun only has one bullet, and Ally must choose whether to kill herself or kill Jay. With a heavy heart, Ally picks up the gun and tells Jay through tears that even if she fought it, she enjoyed him. Jay begs her not to shoot herself, but at the last minute, Ally shoots Jay just past his shoulder, and the bullet ends up hitting Janine's belly. The action quickly resumes as Ally pulls Jay, but they cannot go far because a furious David pulls out a gun and starts shooting. David then grabs Jay and drags him away, but Janine catches up to Ally and begins torturing Ally. David mocks Jay and tells him that he will get to watch Ally die. However, Jay secretly removes an arrow from David's pocket and then stabs David in the eye. David screams in pain and falls onto a table of lit candles that burn him alive through the hot wax. Enraged, Janine punches Ally to the floor and goes to finish her. Just then, Ally stabs Janine in the windpipe with her metal straw, causing great injury. She violently pushes Janine into a statuette, where one of the swords impales her through the neck. The psycho woman is now hanging in agony before the sword finally decapitates her head. After the insanity settles, Ally goes to check on Jay to see if he's alright. But then, all of a sudden, here Jay is able to finish off the reign of Hard Eyes. The scene cuts to a year later, and Ally and Jay are now a couple. They are celebrating their anniversary at the drive-in where they were chased by Hard Eyes. To Jay's astonishment, Ally suddenly pulls out an engagement ring and proposes to him, flipping the script in the most unexpected way. Caught off guard, but overjoyed, Jay smiles and says yes. And with that heartfelt moment, the movie comes to an end.